The sun burned bright over the vast Chilean desert as 33 miners prepared for another long day underground. The air shimmered with heat, the sand glittered like gold, and in the distance, the San Jose copper and gold mine stood silent, its tunnels descending deep into the heart of the earth. The men laughed and joked as they put on their helmets and safety gear, their orange uniforms glowing against the dusty landscape. For them, this was routine. Another day of hard work to feed their families, another descent into darkness. Among them was Mario Sepulveda, a man with quick wit and sharp eyes. He often said, "Down there, you learn who you really are." As the elevator cage rattled down the narrow shaft, the light from above began to fade. The air grew heavy, the sound of machinery echoing like thunder through the tunnels. The deeper they went, the darker and hotter it became. Soon they were surrounded by walls of stone and dust, lit only by the dim yellow glow of their headlamps. It was a world few people would ever see, silent, ancient, and dangerous. Hours passed. The rhythmic clanging of metal on rock filled the caverns. Dust floated like smoke, sticking to the men's faces as they drilled, loaded carts, and shouted over the roar of machines. Suddenly, around noon, a strange vibration shook the ground. At first it felt like nothing, just a distant rumble. But then it grew stronger. The ground trembled, the walls groaned, and a deep roar began to echo through the tunnels like the growl of a beast awakening. One of the men shouted, "Terremoto!" Earthquake! In seconds, chaos erupted. The lights flickered, tools clattered, and rocks began to fall from the ceiling. The men dropped everything and ran, their boots pounding the dirt as the tunnel behind them collapsed in a deafening crash. A cloud of dust swallowed everything. The air turned thick, choking, impossible to breathe. Screams mixed with the sound of cracking stone. Mario grabbed two men by the shoulders and pulled them into a side tunnel as a massive wall of rock crashed down where they had been seconds before. The shaking went on for what felt like forever, and then silence. Only the sound of dust settling, men coughing, and the faint echo of falling pebbles. The air was hot and dry, every breath burning their lungs. Mario turned on his headlamp, cutting through the darkness. "Is everyone okay?" he shouted. A few voices answered weakly. Some were missing, others were injured. They tried calling out through the tunnels, but their voices only bounced back. The exits were gone. The realization hit them slowly, like a cold wave creeping over their skin. The main tunnel, their only way out, had been completely sealed by a rock so massive it could crush a building. They were trapped, 2,300 feet below the surface. The radio was dead, the air vents silent. It felt as though the world above no longer existed. One man whispered, "No one's coming." Another replied, "They don't even." It was supposed to be the happiest day of Aiden's life. He had just been promoted at work, his friends were planning a small party, and everything seemed perfect. The morning sun filtered softly through his apartment window as he buttoned his shirt, humming his favorite tune. But sometimes life doesn't warn you before it changes everything. When Aiden stepped outside, he saw something strange, a woman standing still in the middle of the street, staring at the sky. Her face looked pale, almost lifeless. "Miss, are you okay?" he asked, walking closer. But before he could reach her, she collapsed. Aiden ran to help, his heart racing. But as he touched her wrist, he felt a strange pulse, fast, uneven, and cold. She suddenly opened her eyes and whispered something that froze his blood. "They're watching us." Then her hand fell limp. People around started gathering, phones out, calling for help. Within minutes, the ambulance arrived, and Aiden tried to explain what she said, but the paramedic looked at him oddly. "Sir, there's no way she said anything. She's been dead for at least an hour." Aiden felt dizzy. "No, I just spoke to her," he insisted, but the medic ignored him. Confused and shaken, he walked away. That night, he couldn't sleep. The woman's words echoed in his mind. "They're watching us." Who was watching? And why him? The next morning, when he went to work, things got stranger. His office security badge didn't work. The guard frowned. "Sorry, sir, you don't work here anymore." Aiden froze. "What are you talking about?" "I was promoted yesterday." The guard handed him a file. Inside was his termination notice, dated 2 weeks ago. His name had been erased from the employee records. His email, access cards, everything gone. It didn't make sense. He tried calling his boss, but the number was disconnected. Even his friends didn't answer his calls. Panic set in. He rushed home, only to find his apartment door unlocked. Inside, the walls were bare. No photos, no furniture, nothing. Like he'd never lived there. He stumbled back, his chest tightening. "What is happening?" he whispered. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. The message read, "You shouldn't have touched her." His hands trembled. He looked around, half expecting someone to be watching. He ran to the window and scanned the street, empty. But then, across the road, he saw a black car parked, engine running. Inside, two figures sat motionless, their faces hidden behind tinted glass. He felt their gaze, though he couldn't see their eyes. Fear crawled up his spine. He dropped the phone and backed away. A knock echoed through the door, 3 slow, heavy knocks. He didn't answer. Another message buzzed on the phone. "It's too late now." Aiden felt his breath shorten. He wanted to believe it was a prank, some cruel coincidence. But deep inside, he knew the woman's warning was real. Someone, or something, was watching him, erasing his life piece by piece. As night fell, he sat in darkness, clutching. Aiden woke up to the sound of static. His television had turned on by itself, flickering between channels. He hadn't touched the remote. The screen finally stopped on a channel showing live street footage, his street. The camera angle was from above, like a surveillance feed. His apartment window appeared on the screen, and for a horrifying moment, he saw himself standing there, watching the TV. His heart pounded. He rushed to unplug the TV, but it wouldn't turn off. Then a distorted voice came through the static. "You shouldn't have seen this, Aiden." His legs felt weak. He stumbled back, knocking over a lamp. The voice continued, clearer now, calm but cold. "You touched what wasn't meant to be touched. You interfered with the exchange." He wanted to shout, to demand answers, but fear sealed his lips. The screen flickered again, showing flashes of the dead woman's face, her eyes open, staring straight at him. He yelled and threw a chair at the screen, but the moment it shattered, the room went dark. Silence. His breathing echoed in the emptiness. A faint buzzing came from behind him. He turned slowly. His phone was vibrating on the floor. A new message appeared. "Run." Without thinking, he grabbed his jacket and bolted out the door. The corridor was empty, the air thick and still. The elevator light flickered as he pressed the button repeatedly. When the doors finally opened, an old man was already inside, dressed neatly, smiling faintly. "You shouldn't be here," the man said in a low voice. "They're coming." Before Aiden could respond, the lights went out. When they turned back on, the man was gone. The elevator stopped at the basement. The doors creaked open. Inside the dimly lit parking area, that same black car was waiting. This time, the doors were open. The engine was off, but a faint sound came from inside, a recording of the woman's last words. "They're watching us." Aiden slowly stepped closer. Inside the car, he found dozens of photos. Pictures of himself, from different days, different angles, some even from inside his apartment. His stomach turned cold. One photo was dated that very morning. How is this possible?" he whispered. Suddenly, footsteps echoed. 2 men in black suits appeared from behind a pillar, walking slowly toward him. "Mr. Aiden Blake," one said in a flat tone, "you've seen too much." Aiden turned and ran. He sprinted through the basement, his footsteps splashing through puddles, their voices echoing behind him. "Stop running, Aiden." But he didn't stop. He pushed through a side door and burst into the alley, gasping for air. The city lights blurred in his vision. He ran without direction, just wanting to disappear. Every face on the street looked suspicious. Every car seemed to slow when he passed. It felt like the whole world was hunting him. Finally, he hid inside an old subway station, collapsing onto a bench, drenched in sweat. The trains weren't running anymore. It was long past midnight. He closed his eyes. The night air was heavy with mist as Aiden followed the old highway that led toward the coast. His phone's battery was nearly dead, but the mysterious message kept replaying in his head. "Find the lighthouse." He didn't know if it was a trap or a chance to survive, but after everything he had seen, he couldn't stop now. The road grew narrower, surrounded by cliffs and crashing waves below. At last, through the fog, he saw it. A towering structure rising from the rocks, its light long extinguished. The abandoned lighthouse. Its windows were shattered, its walls covered in seaweed and rust. Every instinct told him to turn back, but something deeper pushed him forward. He climbed the steps slowly, the sound of the sea roaring behind him. Inside, the air smelled of salt and metal. Dust floated in the faint moonlight that slipped through the cracks. On the wall near the entrance, words were carved with something sharp. The truth is above. He started up the spiral staircase, heart pounding. With each step, the wind howled louder, as if warning him. Halfway up, his phone buzzed, one last time before dying. The screen flashed a single word. "They're here." His pulse quickened. From below, he heard the echo of footsteps. 2, maybe 3 people entering the lighthouse. The same men from the parking lot. Their voices were calm, deliberate. He's still inside. Aiden climbed faster, reaching the top chamber just as the door below burst open. He barricaded himself with an old metal beam, gasping for air. The room was circular, filled with broken equipment and an old control panel. A large glass lens stood in the center, the light source of the tower. As lightning flashed outside, something glinted behind the lens. He moved closer and froze. It wasn't a light. It was a machine. Wires, cameras, and a small monitor, all connected, humming faintly. On the screen, he saw thousands of faces, people in their homes, at work, walking on streets, all unaware they were being watched. His image appeared too, captured from moments ago. It hit him like a wave. This was no ordinary surveillance. It was control. The watchers weren't observing. They were manipulating lives, erasing and rewriting them. Suddenly, the monitor flickered, and the woman's face appeared again, the same one from the street. Her expression was calm this time. "Aiden," she said softly, "they can't erase you if the truth is seen." The door below slammed. The men were almost there. He looked at the lens and realized what she meant. If he could power up the light, he could broadcast everything, the watchers, their system, all of it, to the world. But there was no power. Thinking fast, he ripped open a control box and jammed in the live wires from the machine. Sparks flew. The lens began to glow, faintly at first, then brighter. The men reached the top, shouting for him to stop. Aiden screamed over the storm, "You can't hide forever," and pulled the final switch. The lighthouse exploded with light, flooding the S.